feminism is equality, right? Now unfortunately, we're always going to see extremes, okay? We're going to see toxic masculinity. We're going to see toxic femininity. We're going to see that there's always, and unfortunately, I think those are the people that often get the platform.
You allow being tired to be an excuse for not having sex.
I saw a woman in the comment section of that video who said her husband had sent it to her and that she wanted to cry. And of course she did, because men will often use the words of other women to try and negate the feelings of the women in their lives.
I believe that every individual household is the only one that can decide what works for them, right? I wouldn't argue that a man should be having to work that hard to support somebody. Because if you believe that women were equals, well, then why would that be a thing? So we see men get so angry about this stuff. And I say, well, then why aren't you a feminist? Mm-hmm. Right? Why don't you believe that we should be equals in the workplace? Why don't you believe that there should be the same opportunities? So I would like to see us get away from the stay-at-home girlfriend trend, get away from men being only providers, because I think if men didn't feel that way and if they didn't feel that constraint, I think we'd see a lot more stay-at-home successful dads, right? Mm-hmm. Whose children are being brought up with these healthy concepts of masculinity and really feeling love and security.
The point is like this kind of comes down to like this unboxing, this taking the box off of everything and allowing women to be women, allowing men to be men.
Well, and I think at the end of the day, feminism is choice.
A lot of women nowadays are just too masculine.
No, women aren't too masculine nowadays. The problem is that you associate success, strength, and independence with masculinity. And so the independence makes you uncomfortable. He says later in the video that no man wants to battle a woman for dominance. But who's battling? We don't want control over you. We're just no longer willing to share control over ourselves. So it's not a question of masculinity versus femininity. It's a shift from need to want.
I know that over the last 7 years, one of my biggest regrets is how I wish I could have been more of a stay-at-home dad. I wish I could have been up at 3 a.m. more nights and changing the diapers versus knowing I had to wake up at 6. Mm-hmm. And I could have relieved some of the stress off my wife and the pain that she went through and how alone she felt over the course of those first few years. And at the same time, we both assumed this role because I was having success in my career. She stopped her career, and we were both just operating on autopilot because it was so fucking hard to be a parent. Yeah. We didn't even know we had to talk about it. And we were babies. So the communication, the willingness to say, wait, this wasn't what my plan was. Do I like this? Do I not like this? Well, I know I'm supposed to do this, but I really feel like I would like to work. Would you be a stay-at-home father? How does that make you feel? We got to have those conversations. We're not even having them.
You know, a lot of women that got to a certain point in their life where they said, I never even knew I had a choice to not have children,
yeah.
Right? I think we find a lot of women that come to that conclusion in, middle age or, whatever it may be, even maybe when their children are 2. And they just never knew it was a choice, right? And they got thrown into certain situations. And then we see other people that that's what they love to do, right?
Yeah,
and we
been
need
wanting
to
be a mom
support,
since they were little girls.
Right,
yeah.
And we need to support that. We need to support just the choice, right? But really appreciate what it takes to raise a family.
Right. And I think the inverse is true. I think we can, I don't believe that many men have ever had the inkling of an idea that it was an option or a choice that they could be a stay-at-home father. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's not in our DNA.
Right.
My dad was. Yeah.
But your dad was also unique. You grew up with a brother who had special needs, and your dad had to take care of him.
Yeah.
But like I was never. I was the opposite. So I just think in general, like these are such important conversations because all of us need choice.
Yeah.
Caylee, what does it mean to you to be man enough?
It's funny actually because I saw a clip from you where you said, understanding that nobody can take your masculinity away. And you know what? I probably would have answered this question very differently before I saw that clip. But you know what? I don't think there's anything more masculine than understanding that nobody can take it away from you.
You cannot be emasculated. If you have any sort of sense of you being enough, you being a man is simply enough. Nobody can take away your masculinity. Nobody can take away your gender.
And when I think of the people that I would consider the most masculine men in my world, I think that might be what makes them so masculine is they know nobody can take it away. And I never see them really feel threatened, by it. They never consider that being emasculated is even a possibility. So I'm going to quote you there.
Wow.
Thank
I'm
you.
honored.
Love it.